a lot of people that watch us aren't subscribed. And please, if you enjoy what we do, please hit that subscribe button. Check it out. You'll know the next time we go live. And WrestleMania, big 2-night event. Night 2, we had the live watch along, so you can see our responses in the moment. But getting to our predictions, AJ Styles, Logan Paul. You and John White called Logan Paul. I was calling AJ Styles. Boy, was I wrong. What did you think of this match?
Not much. I think the positioning was unfortunately at a lull. Like we had, a very hot women's match to open the show. We had a great Intercontinental title match. We had a surprise opponent for Randy Orton. We'll get into all that. All that happened before this AJ Logan Paul match. And so by the time the AJ Logan Paul match came, in a match that I figured Logan Paul was probably going to win, my enthusiasm was already kind of down. I was looking to see maybe if Karrion Kross would do something more than what he did, but yeah. It is what it was.
Yeah, I wasn't all that excited for this going in. Decent enough match. Maybe the storyline coming out of it will save it. But Sin City Street Fight, Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. And I'm pretty sure I said this on the live watch along that this surprised me that it was as good as it was, because I expected it to be, a decent enough match. I didn't think it would stand out much, but these guys really took it to each other. I had predicted Damian Priest. You and John White had predicted Drew McIntyre. Did this match live up to the expectations you had for it, or did it surpass it?
No, I thought it'd be a solid match. It was exactly what I thought. They did good. I'd like to see a little more from Drew personally. Like part of me wishes maybe he was with Seth and Braun Breaker now in that trifecta storyline, make it like a 4, Dangerous Alliance type deal. But we'll see what the future holds for Drew.
Intercontinental Championship match: Finn Balor versus Penta versus Dominic Mysterio versus Braun Breaker. John White got this right with Dominic Mysterio. You and I thought Penta was going to take it. I mean, if I was thinking about it honestly, it would have probably been between Penta and Dominic. Yeah. I thought Penta was going to win it just because since coming in, he has been on fire. He has been doing great. But Dominic Mysterio, got that heat from it. Probably overall was the better pick because then you can use it to further. Is there a split between him and Finn Balor? Braun Breaker obviously is not hurt losing that title here.
No, Breaker, he felt like he got a promotion after this. Now he's involved in the main event storyline with Seth and Paul Heyman on Raw. They're like tearing up everybody. But Dominic Mysterio, one thing we didn't really pick up on too much because we had to watch it, we had the volume off, is that Dominic Mysterio got big babyface response here. Like this crowd was really behind Dominic for this match for whatever reason. And yeah, I'll be interested to see how Dom goes future, but I think Dom has been such a good heel. I think he's starting to win some people over. So I'm kind of curious to see how they continue to book Dom, because they've kind of positioned like Finn's going to be the odd guy out and you think he'd be the babyface. But if Dom keeps getting these big babyface responses, I'll be curious to see what they do. But this was a big moment, and I was kind of happy in the end of it to see Dom win this title.
One thing, he did come out with a mask on, and we weren't sure whose it was. I believe it was AJ Strangebrew who joined us for the live watch along that said, "Is it Rey Mysterio Sr.?" And it was a Rey Mysterio Sr. mask that he wore out. We had the Women's Tag Team Championship, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Bayley obviously didn't make it to the match. We got the big return of Becky Lynch. They had the win that night. They dropped it the next night. And I don't have a prediction down for you for this. I had myself and John White for Liv Morgan and Raquel. I forgot. Who did you pick for this match?
I had Liv and Raquel because when we picked it, it was Bayley. And I expected Bayley to turn on Lyra. Now, AJ Strangebrew predicted that it'd be Becky and she would turn on Lyra, which he was a day late on, but it did happen. So very interesting. That night, I thought that Becky and Lyra would win just because, the emotion from that crowd, just the way it was going on. I did not know they were going to wrestle again the next night and then Becky would turn heel. So that caught me off guard. But overall, I thought it made everything a little more interesting. And it was interesting the way everything kind of led up. And I thought it put some more interest on these women's tag belts.
Definitely. Speaking of interest on a women's belt, you had Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair for that Women's World Championship to open the show. This was a great match to open the show with, especially for how things closed out. I think this set like a high bar from the beginning. You and I predicted Io Sky. John White thought Rhea Ripley likely would take it. Great match, I thought.
Yeah, AJ predicted Bianca, I think, in this one. He thought she would turn heel. I could see something happening with a heel Bianca down the road. She is injured, I think, after this match. But overall, this match was, in a lot of ways, just in terms of just pure in-ring action, this was probably the best match of the weekend. Like, they just kept a really good high pace, and they kept it throughout the whole match. So, Io Sky, she was on NXT last night, by the way, too. She's just been crushing it. She wrestled Stephanie Vaquer the next night after this on Raw, and they had a great match up until the interference.
Main event, undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. This was not the match that I expected. John White and I thought John Cena would win this, but it had an interesting pace. And then the way it finished was odd. There's been a lot of talk about it coming out of that.
I thought that this match was, initially, I think it was the victim of, we were all just waiting for someone to interfere and for something to happen. We knew that something was going to happen. And it was the end of the night. So I don't think it was getting any help for that reason. That being said, it's not like they over-delivered in such a way that they compensated for that. And then we got to the finish. We got Travis Scott. And I know we all thought, oh, okay, this asshole again. Where's The Rock, though? And, no offense to Travis, but he was just not the guy, any of us wanted to see. We wanted to see The Rock at least be involved in this. Even if we didn't want to see Cody lose, we still wanted The Rock. So instead, we get Travis Scott involved, who ends up getting laid out anyway. But then Cena just basically, begs off Cody not to hit him with the title belt. Feels like it takes longer than it should. And then Cody throws it, immediately gets kicked in the nuts, hit with the title, and then it's over. And it just felt like in this day and age of wrestling, we're so used to people kicking out all the time too, that I don't know. I just expected more. I was still waiting for The Rock, and none of that happened. And I was really left with wanting more, and not in a good way.
Yeah, this wasn't easy, especially with the sound down for the watch along. It was kind of hard to tell what was going on. They definitely wrestled like a more methodical match. I feel like Cena really was wrestling like a heel, kind of slowing things down. The pace of the match, I don't have a problem with. It was more that ending. And it's not even necessarily Travis Scott being involved, because if you want to have him involved, that's fine. But having him as like that sole person coming out to affect the match,
right,
that's what was weird, especially when everything else seemed to line up that The Rock was going to get involved. And that's where a lot of the talk afterwards about it was, because I think we even said during the watch along that The Rock said he was in Hawaii. We're like, oh, that's just a cover, and then he doesn't show up. But like the next day he calls into Pat McAfee's show. Where do you sit on the Rock thing? Should The Rock have been there? Could they have done things the way could it have been handled any better way if The Rock wasn't gonna show?
Oh yeah. Rather than Rock show up at Elimination Chamber, you should have just showed up at Mania. You should have built this up for a babyface versus babyface, John Cena, Cody run. John Cena, really, you could really play off this as last one. We could have all this old footage of him as we lead into this. Cody putting over how much he respects him, and we could tease a little tension here and there where we don't think it's going to go. And then you have The Rock come out and cost Cody. That would have been so much better. Or just not have The Rock involved at all if you're going to, if he wasn't going to show up at Mania. I felt like Elimination Chamber was so big that it actually kind of overshadowed Mania, because it made our expectations way too high. And yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Rock behind the scenes. I don't know. It's interesting. He's made things work, but there's a couple times now where he's kind of screwed things up too, whether it's his booking, whether it's him. I don't know what the deal is, but there's definitely been some misses.
I know, I think it was on Post. They said if he had just showed a little video of him talking about things before the main event, so you knew that he wasn't going to show up,
right,
that would have adjusted people's expectations. And I think that finish might have hit better. A lot of the times while talking about WrestleMania, we reference the Raw after Mania. Rusev has returned to WWE on the Raw after Mania, the SmackDown after Mania. We got Aleister Black returning. So these were two big returns that we've been waiting for. I know you like to do this on the MMA show, so I'm going to give you a chance on the wrestling show. Who's a good future opponent for Rusev, and who's a good, future feud for Aleister Black?
For Rusev, It looks like he's going to go heel because he's going to wrestle on Otis. I actually have better ideas for him as a babyface. Like as a babyface, imagine him and Braun Breaker going at it.
That would be great.
That would be awesome, right? You know, you could totally do some stuff with him. But since he's going to be a heel, you know, he's on the Raw roster.
Man. I know if he was on SmackDown, I would say him versus Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, Fatu again. Yeah, you know, I almost feel like you go a number of different ways here, but I will see. I'm going to say, well, I'd like to see him in there with a Braun Breaker at some point, you know.
Who you got for Aleister Black?
Another guy would be CM Punk, by the way, even though it's a totally different matchup. I think the verbiage would be kind of good. Aleister Black. First off, by the way, I thought it was pretty cool that Zelina Vega won her first single women's title right before he came out. So his wife got a championship and then he came out, which I thought was kind of fun. I'm going to say that I'm going to take what you just said about Rusev and Jacob Fatu and I'm going to flip it. Aleister Black and Jacob Fatu. Given Black's educated feet, that could be an interesting matchup.
I like it. I should say, yeah, man, yeah. I like it. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. A lot of the people that watch us aren't subscribed, and it would just mean the world to us if you subscribe.